So, I want you to forget everything you think you know about Bentley for a second. This new V8 engine in the Continental GT is up to 40% more fuel efficient than the W12. With a 24-gallon fuel tank, that means a lot of range. I thought it'd be cool to see how far we could go on one tank of gas. Just hit the road, leave Los Angeles, and make a road trip out of it. Come along for this little experiment. So here we are in a nearly $200,000 Bentley Continental GT. But this is a different twist. This is a V8, and it's a twin-turbo V8 that boasts 24 miles per gallon on the highway. I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking Bentleys are big, stuffy cars for big egos, they're gas guzzlers, and they don't do very well at the pump. I really think this V8-powered Continental GT can appease enthusiasts and offer something that you just can't get from the 12-cylinder. I also know it can get better fuel economy, so we just filled up the tank with 24 gallons of premium unleaded, and we're going to see how many miles we can squeeze out of this gas tank. So the 12-cylinder counterpart to this car gets 12 city, 19 miles per gallon highway. Really not that impressive. The V8, on the other hand, is rated at 15 city, 24 highway. And, I think we can do better than that. This twin-turbocharged V8 uses a few tricks to get better fuel economy and up to 40% better than the 12-cylinder. It's got a smart alternator that draws energy from the battery, not the engine. It's got low-friction bearings. It's got better thermal management. It's got cylinder deactivation. So actually right now we're running on 4 cylinders. This is a V4 car for the moment. And you wouldn't know it because it has smart engine mounts that switch to a softer setting to kind of mask the transition and smooth out the idle when you're at a rest. So things aren't exactly going as planned. Here we are, barely 19 miles out of the city, and we're stopped. This is not optimum for maximum range. Bentley estimates that you would get about 500 miles out of the tank, and I was originally hoping for 600. But at this rate, I don't know. We're just burning a lot of fuel sitting here. The good news is that you're running on basically a 2-liter 4-cylinder instead of a 4-liter V8. Hypermilers might take a different tactic than we're taking. They might turn off the engine. They might do something crazy like turn off the air conditioning, which we're not going to do. It's 90 degrees outside. You've got these doors that I can do this because we're barely moving. They weigh a ton. And they're huge and they're long. This is, after all, a big Grand Touring coupe. This car weighs over 5,000 pounds, and not a surprise. These big lumbering 18-wheelers next to us, barely hear them. Barely hear the traffic rolling by. It's a very civilized way to sit in traffic. Now that we're out of Los Angeles proper, it's really tempting to lay on the gas and kind of maintain a faster speed, but we're going to cruise along at about 70 miles an hour in 8th gear, pulling just under 1,500 RPM. This engine is barely breaking a sweat. Trying to be really easy on the throttle when we're leaving the city. Probably piss off a couple people. You can get away with the stuff when you're in a Prius, but it's a little harder when you're in a $200,000 Bentley. Might be a little bit upsetting to these people that I'm not laying on it and getting out of the way, but we're just a few miles into this and we want to squeeze out as many miles as we can from this fuel tank. In the exotic universe, this is pretty high up there on a list of cars that I would want to take a road trip in. I mean, Ferraris and Lamborghinis these days are more comfortable than they've ever been, but this takes it to another level. This is so quiet, it's so refined, and it's so smooth that it just makes the miles melt away. This is a pretty ideal road trip car. This is a ridiculously nice interior. I mean, look at this. It's got dark fiddleback eucalyptus wood, light linen quilted leather on the doors and on the seats. You've got these traditional Bentley organ pull air conditioning vents. Watch lovers will appreciate this Breitling analog clock in the center stack here. Then you have other traditional things like the knurled shift knob here, the little B logo. You've got some really nice touches in here. you feel like you're totally isolated from the world. You've got these huge heavy doors, double pane glass, and it's just so plush. The V8 version of the Continental GT starts at $19,000 less than its 12-cylinder counterpart, but it takes a trained eye to tell them apart. The V8 has a dark grille and a subtly different trim treatment, and if you look closely, you'll also notice red enamel badging that designates the smaller engine, a tradition that Bentley has used since the 1920s to distinguish their lower displacement models. And see how the exhaust pipe looks like a figure 8? That's another way to tell the 8-cylinder model apart from the bigger engine GT. Okay, so now we're 304.7 miles out of Los Angeles. Gas tank is just under half, and I really want to be doing better than that. So I'm slowing it down. I'm going 10 miles below the speed limit now. We're going 60 and a 70, 1200 RPM. Really not taxing this V8 at all. Cruising at this low RPM. Sort of the way it was intended to be. Bentleys tend to be low revving engines. Okay, so we are 540 miles north of Los Angeles at this point. It's almost midnight. We're well past San Francisco on one tank of gas. We're past Redding, California, and we're heading into Shasta Lake. So I'm going to call it a night and pull over and put some gas in, calculate our total fuel consumption. So after a very long day of driving all the way to midnight, almost the entire length of the state of California, we drove 553 miles, still with 4 gallons of gas left in the tank. We got 26.425 miles per gallon, which is actually pretty good considering we're in a 5,000 plus pound car. For a little reference, 26 miles per gallon is the EPA highway rating for the Acura TL, the Audi S5, and the Infiniti M37. All of which are far lighter cars with smaller engines. So after nearly 600 miles of feathering the throttle and taking it easy in this car, I'm dying to open it up and see what it can do. Haha, yes. So now that we're going to drive the car the way it was really intended to be driven, we're going to put the shocks into sport mode and switch the stability control into a more permissive setting. Once you tap into the power of this V8, you really feel the difference between just pussyfooting around the highway and flogging it on a road like this. Unlike a lot of turbo engines that peter out at the higher RPMs, this V8 has a really strong charge towards 6,500. So I'm really glad we saw the fuel economy potential for this car and took it on a long trip. I'm even happier that we found this winding country road and got to exploit what it's really made for, which is just sporting, grand touring, high-speed fun. I'm Basem Wasef with Car and Driver.